We say no as a company to a lot of business, which
Wow.
sounds crazy to a lot of people. And it
Mm-hmm.
sounds even crazier when they find out we're a property management company because that's really uncommon. My experience through owning Vessel has also helped my experience as a realtor. I personally don't play the game of Zillow leads and online clicks and some foreign person that I don't know.
So, what are the top three places that you usually find like leaking money that the board completely like missed because they didn't have the right tools oversighting it?
In a market defined by uncertainty, where every second counts, one opportunity can change everything. Are you ready to make your move? The time is now! Welcome to the Dream is Real podcast.
Welcome back to The Dream is Real. I'm your host, Kim, and whether you're looking to secure your investment, scale a property management business, or just get a handle on this current market, you are in the right place. Before we jump into today's conversation, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the show, and share this episode with a fellow investor or agent. It really helps us get these insights out to the community. Today, we're tackling a real problem in our industry, the yes trap. All right, we all want to grow, but the pressure to say yes to every lead is often the very thing that stops us from scaling. We're going to also diving deep into the wild west of HOA management and how to spot when your money is being fleeced and how to use technology to actually see what's happening behind the scenes of your building. So today I'm joined with Jake Handler, the founder of Vessel Property Management. He's also a licensed real estate agent. Jake, welcome to The Dream is Real.
Thank you so much. Great introduction. I agree with that. The wild west of HOA property management. Happy to talk about that. And the yes trap. That's a great way to put that.
Yes, definitely. So we're excited to have you here today. So why don't you start us off? Tell us a bit about you, where you located, how did you get into the business, and why don't you walk us through that transition from being a teacher
Yeah, I was a teacher.
to
I
a
was
real estate agent professional?
Yeah, yeah. That's how it went. So I was a teacher for 8 years. I
Wow.
really enjoyed teaching. I was also a high school baseball coach, refereed high school basketball. Kind of went down that track after college,
What grade of
and
teaching?
so I taught for 4 years elementary school
Oh.
in Baltimore, Maryland. That's actually where I went to college. So I stayed there after college, and I
Hmm.
moved back home to North New Jersey, where I'm from. And there I taught 4 years of a middle school here in New
Wow.
Jersey. And then, so that was from 2015 when I graduated college to 2023, my teaching career. But in 2020, when everything changed, COVID, obviously,
Hmm.
I got my real estate license. It was something like I always wanted to do, but never had the time or the patience or, all those things, all those excuses.
Hmm.
And I finally did it in 2020. And then I became a realtor, and I was a realtor and a teacher for 3 years. I was dual career from 2020 to 2023.
Okay.
And during that time, I started buying properties, and I started a property management company called Vessel Property Management, and we manage HOAs in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So moving from the classroom to managing physical assets.
Sort of
Hey.
physical education. I was a gym teacher, so I wasn't a classroom teacher. But other than that,
Ah.
otherwise, you're right. But in 2023, I took that leap on myself. I said, you know what, like um, I'm really comfortable with teaching, and it's something I
Hmm.
still enjoy. But I have to bet on myself. I turned 30 that year, so I just kind of hit me a little different, like a new decade, and I was just like, now's the time to take the bet on myself and to take the leap, and I did it.
Okay. All right. Great. So, Jake, you ready for this? Ready to talk?
Keep going. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, let's go into that yes trap. Okay. Well,
hmm
actually, no. Hold on. So, we're going to get into the yes trap, but I want to start with the why. Okay, because on your website, you tell a little story in the About Us section about how Vessel was founded because of you and your friends started smelling something fishy.
Yeah, exactly. Vessel. So
Yeah.
Vessel is co-owned with a couple friends of mine, which is actually the coolest part. We've known each other our whole lives. And you know how you have friends or someone you're growing up with, and you're like, yeah, one day we're going to create a company or buy a house or flip a house or whatever, and it's usually
Hmm.
just usually nothing happens. So
Right.
something
Just
actually
talk.
happened. We actually did it in 2022. We started this company, and the reason, like you said, is because of our own experiences. So I own a condo.
Mm,
My co-owners own condos, and we all sort of discovered kind of the same reoccurring issues going on through management company. It's not always their fault. The other company,
right.
it's not always them, but it's just like they're no one likes their HOA manager. that's
Hmm.
that's the truth, including some of our clients, right? Like no, they don't really know all the details, but it's hard to like your HOA manager, and we just wanted to change that perspective, that entire narrative, and change the game. So we started doing things differently. We
Mm,
are very transparent with our bookkeeping, which our managers were not from our experiences. We have strong communication. We never miss a call. We have a lot of AI and technology going on. I could dive deeper into that, but that's essentially the reason we started. That was our why.
okay. All right. Nice story. I love it. So, yeah, you're right. A lot of people just talk about actually doing it, like when you're kids and like, oh yeah, let's do this together, and then it doesn't happen.
It's
So,
really cool to just like reflect on that, the fact that
yeah,
that is how it started, and we just did it.
yeah. All right. So let's get into the yes trap. All
Hmm.
right. So it's, I guess, like it's the lack of transparency. Sometimes that leads us into this yes trap. Companies try to be everything to everyone. They lose focus, and that's where I guess some mysterious fees come in and stuff like that. Slow responses. You've been very vocal about the over yesing is a recipe for disaster, right? So, how do you feel a tight niche, tight niche, is the actual cure for burnout?
Yeah. I heard this quote: the riches are in the niches, and
Hmm.
that is us. So we say no as a company to a lot of business, which
Wow.
sounds crazy to a lot of people, and it
Hmm.
sounds even crazier when they find out we're a property management company, because that's really uncommon.
Yeah.
We discovered, again, we wanted to be different than our experiences that we had ourselves, so we had to be different. So one way we were going to be different is by focusing on a very specific area, focusing on a very specific size building, and focusing on only the things that we are really good at, and we were just going to become proficient and superior at those things in those areas. And we have continued through that. We have never wavered, and we don't plan to waver at any point from that. A lot of companies will, in property management, it's like a race to the bottom. I don't know if you've noticed that, Kim, where
Hmm.
I don't know if you've experienced, do you have experience with HOA managers?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, a lot of times it's like, okay, they're charging this, we're going to undercut them, and we're going to be the cheapest diner in town. I'm from
Hmm.
Jersey, so I use diners. So and we don't want to be Denny's. Like that's not the people we want to work with. That's not the resources we want to employ for our team. And that's just not. We're going to slowly grow, and we're currently at about 30 associations, about 4 years into our company, and we are so happy with that slow growth.
Okay. So, when you have a client that actually comes to you and they aren't a good fit, like how do you decline the business while still maintaining, I guess, like a professional reputation? Like, how do you say that no?
Before it gets personal. That's the key. If they start giving me all their information and tell me about everything about them and their property and their building, and then we say no,
Hmm.
that becomes a personal no. Um, but we just stick to, hey, like we get a lot of inbound leads, and we say, hey, where is your association? How many units is it? If it doesn't match those parameters, then unfortunately we just say, hey, we stick to our niche, and you're not in our niche, so we could refer you to
Wow.
another company.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's
All
not
right.
personal, if it's not personal, you shouldn't feel personal about it, right?
Yeah. Shouldn't feel too bad.
Yeah.
All right. So, as an agent yourself, the hustle in real estate tells us that more is always better. But when you finally start saying no to those clients, what happens to your quality of the services that you've already, for the clients that you already had? Like, do you see a measurable shift in how you could solve their problems once you cleared the clutter of the wrong leads?
Love this question and love the translation into being a real estate agent, because my experience through owning Vessel has also helped my experience as a realtor weed
Hmm.
out the dead weight, right? And the
Right.
leads that I don't want to work with. So I personally don't play the game of Zillow leads and online clicks and some foreign person that I don't know, so it's like someone not in my sphere calling
Hmm.
me. That doesn't
Hmm.
happen, and it's intentional that that doesn't happen. And if you think about it, it's like if you go to the doctors, is the doctor you're seeing, is that the person that when you walk into the office, the first person you see? No, right? You
Mm-mm.
see the
You see the
receptionist, and
receptionist.
then when you get into your finally in the waiting room, you get into your the doctor's office, and it's usually a physician's assistant
Hmm.
that is first to see you and sort of do a temperature check on you, and
Yep.
then the doctor diagnoses you. And I try to be the doctor in all things I'm doing. It's not easy to get there because there's a lot of expenses involved, and there's hiring, and there's systems, and there's resources that I have to deploy, but that's
Hmm.
seriously my goal. And the reason I left teaching is really to just maintain trying to be the PhD there, the doctor in all of my businesses.
The Dream Select Bootcamp app helped me pass my real estate exam and continues to help me to this day as a new agent. The AI mentor comes in clutch at open houses. Sign up today. You won't regret it.
A lot of times in when I'm working with my clients, I like to talk about a lot about like risk assessments.
Okay.
So, in your experience, what do you think that one red flag in an initial consultation that tells you if I'm going to say yes to this person or if it's going to cost me more in time and stress than the contract is actually worth? Like, how do you
From my
spot that high
perspective,
maintenance, low
mm,
alignment client? Yeah.
okay, so I'll answer that in the lens of vessel property management for HOA. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, very much hearing about why they're changing. So it's similar to if you were looking to employ an employee, and if you were doing an interview process, the first question I ask any candidate is, why are you a free agent? Like, why did you get fired, or why did you quit your previous employer? To me that's the risk assessment right there. Right?
Yeah.
If there's a strong answer like, hey, I just wanted to get paid more, respected more, I like that response. But if it's like, oh, it's the coach's fault, like that's a high school basketball thing, like, oh, I got injured, or it's the coach likes someone else more, that's why I'm not starting, one of those things, uh not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, talking about the HOA management more.
Hmm.
So, you've defined your niche by leaning into that, right?
Yes,
Leaning
yes.
into the HOA management. So, a lot of people they run away from this because of like the board politics and stuff like that. They don't want to deal with the board. But you solved a huge part of that through your technology. So,
Yes.
you got an online portal, right?
So we have an online portal. We didn't create the cut consumer face portal. We use
Hmm.
Buildium. That might not age well. We're looking into other softwares too. We're always evolving in that way. But what we did create is through Claude Coworker, I believe. My partner's better at that than me with the technology. Um, an internal system. So we have like a serious, amazing automations and ways of internally tracking a job that can go on, or an onboarding a building. There's so many steps. Like, you need to get a fire inspection, you need to do a roof inspection, you need to bring that to the board, and then the board might say something, and then the unit owner might say something, and it's all on there. Thank you to Miss Claudette for existing,
Hmm.
because since we discovered this, and it's been a few months in the works, and it's been a game changer for us.
Right. Okay, so you guys through this portal, do you work with the residents as well as the board or just the board?
So we manage the whole building, which includes the unit owners that are not the board
Okay.
members. Yeah, and that's for the consumer facing portal. Of course, there are the way the bylaws are aligned in most buildings. I think every association is the board has a lot of power and a lot of the say.
Hmm.
So unit owners, of course, can reach out to us as needed and vice versa, but it is mostly communicating with the board as the day-to-day operations. And to be clear, that's
Okay.
not like I'm not the property manager for us. We
Hmm.
have a staff of 8 people. So I don't necessarily, I'm not part of the day to day. I'm now just strictly sales for us. So that's why I'm on this podcast. And that's why and I'm the one who talks to potential new candidates as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I try to be the doctor, you know?
Exactly. All right. So the residents can actually see the annual budget, right? And the master deeds.
They can see a lot more than that. Yeah, they can definitely see
Okay.
that. And that's a common problem that we hear that they can't see with their current manager when they're calling us to potentially change to us. Um,
Mm,
but I'm like, why would your former manager, why would your current property manager not allow you to access this info? It makes their jobs
right.
harder too. For us, it's like,
Yeah.
here's everything. So now when you need an insurance policy for your mortgage company and they're asking for the flood insurance document, you don't have to ask me. Like you could just access 24/7 on your portal. I mean
Hmm.
that should be step like there's crazy that there's not every company's not doing that. That's nothing special that we're doing. I think that's just like a low standard to have to put everything
Hmm.
out there for
Yeah.
transparency. Yeah.
Exactly. So that transparency should actually help, like, reduce all of the politics and the constant back and forth phone calls, you would think.
And they're not, yeah, they're never gonna totally get eliminated. But
Right.
I mean, I say to them, I say, oh yeah, wait, we can make our job easier by you not calling me for a document.
Hmm.
100%, let's do it. That's why I tell my customers, I'm like, yeah, you don't gotta ask me. It's 2026. Just log in. Now, Kim, do you own a condo any chance?
No, I do not.
Okay, lucky. No.
No, I do not.
Okay.
I'm open to it. Anybody out there? I'm open. No, but no,
Well,
I
I'm
do
assuming New York, where you're located, has reserve studies. I don't know if you're
not.
familiar, but that's a big New Jersey as of 2024, I believe.
Okay.
They now require reserve studies for associations, which is basically an third-party engineering company to be hired to go out and assess the building with like a
Mm,
lifespan and a life expectancy for all parts of the common areas. And what's
gotcha.
happening is they're recommending a reserve amount that's typically higher than a lot of buildings want to put towards
Right.
reserves, and HOA fees are therefore increasing to stay compliant.
Okay.
And who's the bad guy when that happens?
Your
Me.
residence.
No, me. They blame me or us, but it's unfortunately it's a New Jersey law now, and I'm not sure if it's New York. I know it started because that Florida condo collapsed in
Hmm.
2021, so I think it's becoming more widespread across the nation for these reserve studies.
Mm,
So just know that if
okay.
you're going to buy a condo, that's part of it.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda yet.
Good.
Not yet.
I still own my condo. I'm not too afraid of the reserves, so it's not like I sold when that started happening. So it's nothing for people to be too alarmed about.
Right. Okay, so you mentioned in the beginning, like, or I mentioned, but with your co-founders, that you were finding fishy expenses in your own condos, right? So when Vessel takes over a new association, has that been historically, like, mismanaged? Are you finding with some other places? Like, do you perform, like, I guess what they would call like a financial autopsy,
Yeah,
right?
we
Like,
call it forensic accounting.
okay. So what are the top three places that you usually find, like, leaking money that the board completely, like, missed because they didn't have the right tools oversighting it?
So unfortunately, a lot of the companies that we've taken management from were commingling, and their personal or business expenses, I'm not sure, may have been it's I can't say anything as fact,
Right.
although that's what our forensic accounting has determined,
Mm-hmm.
where the HOA fees are going into a big pool with potentially other buildings HOA fees that they're also managing. And what's happened is when we start, like, there's the P&Ls are not always accurate from before our management.
Right.
And what happens is when we try to dissect exactly what the manager should owe the association, the money, if we get it for the association, comes from like an account that's with other associations accounts as well. I'm not suggesting this is
Mm,
going on a lot, but it has
right.
gone on in our experience with
Mhm.
some, and that has become like almost a full-time job for my team of babysitting the financials from before us. It's kind of unfair,
Mhm.
but it's also how we got the business.
It's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not really what I signed up for, but it's interesting. And I'm glad to say that that's more in the past. It's still happening occasionally, but it's not something that a lot of the newer companies like us that we see
Mhm.
are doing it right and doing a great job. And hopefully that just is no longer the standard in management.
Okay. So, Jake, you aren't just a manager, but you're also an investor with four homes?
I have three properties in New Jersey and under contract on a fourth. That one's getting
Okay.
dicey. If we talk next week, I might have better answers. Or if I check my phone right now, I might have better answers. But hopefully, I have four homes soon. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So, if I understand it right, you used house hacking to build that portfolio, right?
that's right. It's
So I
super
tell my
simple.
buyers all the time, if you can practically live for free or close to it, like why would you not? But can you explain to our viewers exactly what is house hacking? Give us house hacking 101.
Yes. And I'll explain it through my lens because in 2020, I actually just had a webinar last night that I co hosted, and I'm going to have more as well about my story. And when I in 2020, I was a teacher and I was, doing some side hustles like coaching and refereeing. My pre-approval amount was 300K. And that's when I bought my first property. And that doesn't sound that's like very little relative to our area and the
Hmm.
taxes, just I can't do a lot with it. But what I could do with that 300K approval was buy a two-bedroom condo. So I did. I optimized the hand I was dealt. And I wanted to house hack. So house hacking is really just renting out space and getting tenants to pay some of your mortgage. So I bought a two-bedroom condo and I rented one bedroom to a friend. My monthly payment was about 2,200, including HOA fee, taxes, and all in. And he was paying me about 1,200. So was I living for free? Absolutely not. But I was living for about 60% off. And who
Hmm.
wouldn't sign up for that,
Yeah.
especially as a 27-year-old single guy with not a crazy great salary, right?
Hmm.
And that really propelled me to become a real estate investor and to really just it ended up helping me quit my job because I was able to bet on myself with that foundation that I set for myself. So
Hmm.
then, Kim, I got addicted. I have an addiction of a house hacking addiction. I'm still house hacking today. I moved into a second property 2 years later. Did the same thing. Low money
Wow.
down, leveraging the low money down that I could do because I'm owner occupying the home.
Hmm.
Rented out that first property. Brought my friends with me to house number two. Again, easier when I'm 28, single. It's why wouldn't someone do that? I don't have to
Right.
live for free. I don't care. I'm not about getting rich. I'm about getting wealthy. So I don't really care what the monthly is so much when I'm in my 20s, but I know I'm owning these homes and getting this equity that other people are paying the mortgage for. And then I did it a third time. So I currently Airbnb now, my downstairs unit.
Okay.
I've really taken like the next house hacking on steroids now, but it all started with a two-bedroom condo for 300K. How simple can it be?
Yeah. And your mortgage you said was 22?
2,200. It was 2020. My interest rate was really good, so that helped. But even today, even if my mortgage was using a current rate, and if it's like even if my mortgage payment's like 2,600, and I'm renting a bedroom for 1,200, I mean, living for 40% off, right? If anything
Hmm.
was 40% off, I would go buy it. So it's that simple. People try to make it sophisticated, like living for free and all this other like there's books and podcasts on house hacking, and I think it couldn't be simpler. You don't need to hear another word of me say it. Just buy a two-bedroom condo and rent one bedroom to someone else.
All right. So since you did that, right, since you came up with this house hacking, like, has that experience actually shaped the way you manage your properties for your clients today?
That's a really interesting perspective that I haven't thought of.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm a good guy, and I think it all comes from that. Like I don't know, as a teacher, I like to make a difference. I like to I will undercharge rent sometimes to get another good person here because I really care about the relationship.
Hmm.
And sure, we can translate that into property management because I own the company, but frankly, I am not the day to day property manager. So I'm not
Hmm.
going to pretend to be. So it's a little loosely connected there.
Right.
Ultimately, good people ha- have good situations and do good things. That's yeah.
Okay, so before we wrap this up, like, why don't you give us one piece of in the trenches advice? Like, for someone listening who wants to start their own portfolio but is terrified, like, what's the secret to keeping their property profitable without losing their sanity?
So it totally depends on where they are in life. If I was talking to someone my parents' age,
Hmm.
I wouldn't have the same advice. I can't relate to that perspective because I didn't live through that. So I'm gonna just relate to someone who can start maybe younger, like in their 20s. And I will say that similar to if you invest into a retirement account, why would you not, right?
Right.
House hacking is the best way to get started. It's the easiest way because you can have low money down. You could have a better interest rate than if you were an investor, and you can just live with your friends. And guess what? Your friends are going to be pumped to have you as a landlord, right?
Hmm.
Versus somebody else. So, can I curse on this podcast or no? It's not really. All right.
Not
If I
really.
could, I would drop an F bomb. So I think we can know what the word is. Effing buy a house if you're young. Just do it.
All right. All right, Jake. So thank you so much. This has been an absolute masterclass. Before we sign off, where can our audience find and connect with you in Vessel Property Management?
Okay. So I wear a lot of hats, as I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Let me start with my personal. I'll go Instagram. It's Jake Handler NJ. So it's first name, last name, state, New Jersey, NJ. And then Vessel is also through my Instagram. You could find all Vessel Property Management through finding me personally. And I also have a podcast myself, Kim. So it's
Ooh, what's the
called,
name of it?
I got to plug it. It's called The More Smarter Show.
The
And what
More
we do,
Smarter Show?
yes,
Okay.
what we do is we interview other business owners, not necessarily self employed people like realtors, but the difference is a business owner, like that doctor I was describing that I try to be.
Mm.
And we hear their perspective on scaling and being having systems and resources and how they can separate themselves from working in the day to day and actually growing a business. So that's our focus on the More Smarter show.
Nice. All right. So everybody got to make sure you subscribe to that as well. So thank you again, Jake, for being a guest on today's show. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another great episode.
Thank you,
As
Kim.
always, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Dream Select Realty, on X at Dream Select Home. If you have a story to tell and you would like to be a guest on our show, reach out to us via email at hometeam@dreamselectrealty.com. We're always here to help you navigate your journey with confidence. Thanks for listening, and until next time, always remember the dream is real.